This week on the Computer Chronicles, the best of Comdex. We'll show you the new generation of Internet PCs like Compaq's iPAQ and MSN's Web Companion. MP3 came of age at this Comdex with several very cool MP3 players and utilities. We'll show you the best of them. The real sleeper at this Comdex was Linux. In fact, the entire Linux Pavilion won Bytes Award for Best of Show. We'll tell you why. And this is Bluetooth, a hot new technology for getting all your chip-based appliances talking to each other. It's the best of Comdex, coming up next on the Computer Chronicles.
The Computer Chronicles is brought to you by BigStar.com, with thousands of videos and DVDs for the whole family. Additional support by TechWeb for up-to-the-minute technology news. And by TVA, Television Associates, bridging the worlds of computers and video with DVD authoring and MPEG encoding services.
Hi, and welcome to the Computer Chronicles. I'm Stuart Chaffee. Well, Fall Comdex is still the country's biggest computer trade show. More than 200,000 people showed up for this year's mega event in Las Vegas. More than 2,000 exhibitors were there. Now, you really don't want to know about all of them, so we have tried to do the impossible and have selected a handful of the best new products shown at Comdex. To start with, a new generation of Internet appliances. Tim Baharin was our man at Comdex,
Hi.
President of Creative Strategies, of course. And let's talk about this basic idea. What's going on with this new concept of the Internet appliance? What's different?
Well, first of all, price and ease of use. Now, there are two actual approaches to the way the industry is going after this. The first is through something they call the Internet PC, and it's a real PC, but it's based on something called the Easy PC specification that Intel and Microsoft...
And what is the Easy PC spec?
Well, the fundamental thing is you get away with the slots and the ISA cards of the past
Got
and
it.
the ISA bus.
Okay.
Instead, what they do is they go to the Universal Serial Bus, USB ports instead for all the expansion.
All right, why don't we talk about this one then? This is the iPAQ here, right? Which is what, as you say, a slotless PC.
Right, and this comes into the category of what we call an Internet PC, because it's still really a PC, but its main function is to let people get on the Internet and do work on the Internet.
All right, so that's why you don't, and if you're going to do expansion, it's all through USB ports.
Correct. Except for in this particular case, Compaq does something unique in that they have what they call the multi-bay slot. And the multi-bay is something that's actually in their portables.
Sort of like a notebook, right?
Correct, but lets them actually put a
CD-ROM drive
or whatever for expansion.
Let's turn around and just take a look at the back of this thing for a minute to see what other ports we have here.
Right, now this is what makes it quite unique. You'll see
Yeah.
audio in, audio out.
Right.
Ethernet, because this is really a corporate type of product for the industry. VGA, video out, and then USB. 3 USB ports here and 2 on the other side. And
so 5 USBs.
Yeah, and what's really unique about this, of course, is that besides it being a small package, it's $499 for a 500 megahertz Celeron in there.
All right,
that's
so
quite a good buy.
So, but this is really aimed at the business market.
Yeah, in Compaq's position, they really were not going after the consumer market. The idea was to create a device that was easy to connect to the Internet, could go to multiple ports in individual companies, and basically be a low-cost Internet terminal, Internet access device, but at the same time was a real PC.
All right, so the big deal is no slots, all USB, and multifunction.
Right, plus, of course, the Ethernet, which then lets you
the
hook to
built-in
the
Ethernet.
Yeah.
And so what's the price on something like the iPAQ?
Well, this one is $499 with the Celeron, although you can get a version of this with a Pentium 3 in it.
Okay.
That's in the $450, $500 range. It's about $100 more.
Just to be clear, this monitor probably costs more than the iPAQ, right?
Yeah, it does. The monitor is a lot more expensive, but the iPAQ itself is an exceptional product.
Got it. All right, so very new design idea over here. Now let's talk about the second model you referred to, which is really the MSN Web Companion, or the Vestal as we have it here.
Yeah, now Vestal has created what I think is one of the best of the breeds of this new whole concept of Internet terminals. And at Comdex, Microsoft introduced something called the Web Companion.
Right.
Now the Web Companion basically, in Microsoft's world anyway, is an Internet terminal or a device like this that when you turn it on, it goes out and dials up MSN, the Microsoft network. That's all it is.
This is an MSN terminal.
That's right. And so when you open it up, this is exactly what you get. You've got the Microsoft network terminal.
So it does have a cordless keyboard here.
Cordless keyboard in this case, and a flat panel screen.
But this is not the screen. That's the whole ballgame, right?
That's it.
This is what you buy.
System.
Oh, it's right there.
And so I'll click on News, and it's going to go out now and find the news site. And what you really got is full access to the Internet. So it's fundamentally a browser.
Happens to be the MSNBC site.
Right, and it happens to run under Microsoft Windows CE operating system. But
so it is a CE device.
It's a CE device, but it's a whole new model for Microsoft. And what's really interesting, and I'm real fascinated to watch this, is that it takes Microsoft from what was a one-time purchase to a servicing purchase. In this iPack,
comes with Windows.
It comes with Windows, and I paid Bill Gates $50
Each
one
time you buy a real PC.
Right, just one time though.
Okay.
In this model, because I'm using this terminal and I'm going to it on a monthly basis, I'm paying for it, it's like $19.99
He's
or
got you $20 a month for the rest of your life.
Plus, he gets to do something that everybody wants to do, is if you buy a product that comes through MSN, he gets a piece of that action through this whole e-commerce kickback model, you know, where you're actually being compensated.
So what you're saying, the internet is not a threat to Microsoft, it's a huge new revenue opportunity.
Well, in this particular case it is. I mean, you imagine today, AOL has over 20 million users, whereas MSN is probably around 4 or 5 at best.
Right.
Well, what Microsoft wants to do is capture more of the AOL's market by bringing them into a kind of a closed environment.
So this is really consumer, low-end, put a terminal in everybody's house, happens to be plugged into MSN.
Yeah, and it's going to be basically subsidized. So right now, a device like this, if you wanted to buy it by itself, it'd be $4.95 or $5.95.
But if you sign up for MSN,
for like 2 to 3 years, Microsoft will kick that $300 or $400 back of the cost, and because where they're really going to make their money is through the transactions that come through the service on in the future. But Vestel has done an exceptional job with this, and this represents a real cool idea in the Web Companion.
Tim, thanks a lot. Well, if there was one technology that came of age at Fall Comdex, it was MP3. Players and encoders were everywhere. There were several cool new MP3 gadgets, and our guide to MP3 products at Comdex is Scott Hacker, author of the new book MP3, The Definitive Guide.
Correct. That'll be out in February from O'Reilly.
All right, great. Now, we've got lots of gadgets and some software. Let's work with the gadgets first of all, because we've come a long way since that early Diamond Rio MP3 player. Let's talk about the Nomad first. What is different about the Nomad?
Well, the defining difference between the first and second generation devices is that these are now using a combination of built-in storage and external storage.
All right, so this has a little cradle, and this is actually the little player over here.
Right, this is a cradle, connects to a serial port, interfaces with Windows software. The third generations will not use a cradle. They'll simply have a USB, plug-in.
Got it. So storage outside this device, so it can still be nice and small.
Correct.
How much actually storage is in the little device?
This has got 32 built in, and then we've got these small MMC cards. That's a 32 meg card.
All right, so you can add those, and then what's this one?
That's called a compact flash card. These have a larger form factor, but these have a lot more growth left in them. These will be up to 256 megs by the end of 2000.
Wow. All right, you carry around a lot of music. All right, let's plug this in and just see what this little baby sounds like. I think we're hooked up there.
We've got an Indian raga going on here in the background.
Okay.
Can we go? Yeah, there we go. And you've got your usual array of fast forward and stop and et cetera. You can also stop this at any time and record a voice memo, which is very convenient when you're driving, riding a bicycle, whatever. That records at a very low bit rate MP3, maybe 16 kilobits or something.
All right, so this is Nomad's more capacity, able to take these memory cards, got a cradle to sync up with your PC.
There's another important distinction. As you know, with the Diamond Rio suit, which hinged upon the fact that the Rio was not a recording device, but a storage device. When you move to external storage, they're sort of even more off the hook.
This is not even a storage device.
It's not even a storage
literally
device.
just a player.
Because you can buy these naked, like the i2 Go we'll get to in a minute. You can buy without any storage at all. So they're off the hook. In addition, those units were not able to export music out to other players. So you couldn't swap your music with other people. With these, if everybody's got a backpack full of these, you swap them around.
You're not going to see the storage go. So all right, let's talk about the i2Go thing, which is very cool. You mentioned that's this guy over here, and that looks a little bit different. It's a different form factor, huh?
It's a little bit larger, a little bit heavier. This is
it looks like a car radar detector in a way.
Well, it's good you bring that up because this is optimized for use in the car. It can be worn on the hip, but
this is actually the readout, huh?
The readout is on the front, so it's designed to sit on the windshield.
Put it on the dashboard, maybe.
Put it on the dashboard. You've got a windshield suction cups
so it comes with all this just like the radar detector.
You've got the cigarette lighter adapter, and in case your car stereo doesn't have an auxiliary input, you get the cassette output. This is kind of lo-fi, these cassette output, but they do in a pinch. You can get these at any Radio Shack. It's not specific to this device.
Now what's the storage on the i2Go?
This also comes with a 64 meg compact flash card.
So you can put the cards in there.
However, there's a twist. This also has a slot in the back.
Let's turn that around and show folks.
So we can see that. Now here you're going to put a 340 meg IBM micro drive, which is a physical hard drive with vast amounts of storage these will actually be able to carry 2 of these for 680 megs of storage.
So you can have a real hard drive on this little MP3 player.
Exactly. Now, you get one disadvantage with a hard drive, which is that, again, it's a physical device, possibly subject to skipping if you're really, really active, whereas the solid-state MP3 players are jog-proof.
All right, i2Go. Now, finally, on hardware, this was amazing, got lots of attention.
Yeah.
This is an MP3 player. It looks like a pen.
It is an amazing. This also has 64 megs built in, no removable storage. But let's
plug it in. Let's see what
jack
this
this
thing
one in
sounds
as
like.
well, and hit play on that. And I think we're going to get some Macy Gray going on in the background. Yeah, it sounds very, very good. And again, you've got the usual array of controls. If you flip it
There's
over,
your readout over here.
Yep, you've got a readout. And on this side, we've got a little bay door.
We've got a port.
A USB port in your pen.
That is great. And literally a pen clip here. Put it in your pocket.
Oh, yeah. You can clip it on your pocket. It also has a neck strap, so you can wear it around your neck. My biggest concern would be losing it. At $300,
No kidding.
I probably wouldn't. The other limitation with this,
Yeah, it just runs on this one battery here.
one battery limited to about 5 hours of playback, so you'll probably want to have a battery of batteries,
Get a
if you will.
rechargeable battery there, yeah. Okay, now let's talk about software. 2 very interesting things introduced. First of all, the Sonic Foundry. What is that?
This is an integrated MP3 creation, playback, playlist building, database, and it even burns
MP3
CDs.
software for idiots kind of thing. I mean, do it all.
Right. Similar in some ways to the real jukebox, etc. This has some nice features such as oops, I'm not trying to rename that, I'm trying to play it. This has built-in visualizers, which is kind of psychedelic, and your usual equalizer. Shows you the ID3 tag.
You've got your whole MP3 stereo now on your PC.
Exactly.
Lastly, a lot of buzz about Napster. Explain Napster and show it to us.
Napster is an interesting product because what people find when they go searching for MP3 on the net is broken links, and if they want to distribute their own things, it's hard to set up a web server, hard to set up an FTP server.
Right.
With Napster, you install it, it searches your hard drive for music, you go online, and it makes your music available to the world.
It's this great mega server for everybody who has MP3 files on their hard drive.
Right,
You can get to anybody's music.
If you're online.
And you've got like everybody's Rolling Stones cuts here.
This is what I did. I typed in Rolling Stones. I found 50 different users with Rolling Stones music on their drive. It shows me what bandwidth they're connected at, the bit rate of all their files. You can specify, don't show me any files, that are less than 128 kilobit, et cetera. So this gets around a lot of obstacles and allows a lot of users to serve who previously couldn't
Call
serve.
it Napster.
Napster.com.
All right, thanks a lot. Coming up next, Linux and Bluetooth. We'll be right back. It's not often that an entire exhibit pavilion wins Byte's Best of Show award at Comdex. But such is the excitement these days over Linux. The editors of Byte recognize that with their award for the entire Linux pavilion. Here to explain is Alexander Purnell, producer of the Best of Show Comdex Awards for Byte.com. Speaking of which, what's the deal now? There's no more Byte magazine, but you're doing it online at Byte.com?
All online. Everyone can view it anytime, anywhere. Doesn't
Same
have to
kind
be
of
on-
content?
Absolutely.
All right.
Longer in some cases.
So Byte is alive and well, just online.
Yes, sir.
All right, so let's go back to the awards. You guys have been doing awards at Comdex forever, as far as I can remember. Why did you give the Best of Show award to the whole Linux pavilion?
Because we thought that was the most exciting thing at the show. We thought that we were pointing out that here was a product that was suddenly making a big impact on the industry that people had heard of but had never thought of as a product that they could use.
Yeah.
And suddenly they could use it on their own desktops at home.
And it's a lot more real, a lot more user-friendly, a lot more sort of normal now, right? Let's take a look at it. You've got Linux up here right now. What version of Linux, by the way?
This is Red Hat Distribution 6.1.
Gotcha. And I mean, it looks sort of Windowish, right? I mean, this is not Unix. You got to get in there and type stuff.
No, this is the user interface is reasonably familiar.
All right.
You've got a reasonably familiar cascading menu.
All right, so let's take a look at some of the apps that this comes with here. Okay, well, go ahead, just scroll through so we have with the address, with the usual stuff.
Yeah, including a spreadsheet.
Comes with a little built-in spreadsheet. Okay, so let's go back to that pull-down menu for a second and see some of the other apps. So it sort of looks like Windows, right?
Yeah.
I mean, same sort of idea.
Works enough like that you can probably puzzle it out, and if not, at least you've got some traction to start.
Now, except for the fact that you may be a Microsoft Bill Gates hater, why should anybody want to put Linux on their machine?
To try, to explore, to see if it works for them, and to learn about Unix, because Unix is not only not going away, I think is going to be a bigger thing than in the past, and as a way to run applications that cannot crash, where else can you get for $30 an enterprise-class operating system?
All right, so let's do more reliable. I mean, Linux people say more reliable than
Yes, I
Windows,
believe so.
Unix-based. Less expensive
Yes.
and open.
And open.
You want to go in there and play with it, or get somebody else's tweak, it's very easy to
or
do that.
rewrite it, or combine bits of it. Linux comes out in distributions, which are controlled by the person who writes them and who collates them.
Okay, next wrap has been, hey, there are no applications. Yeah, Linux is great, and I'd like an alternative to Microsoft, but I can't run anything. That's been solved. In fact, let me show everybody this. You also gave your Best Software Award to the Corel Office Suite for Linux. And why did that win the Best Software Award?
Because we thought that it was important to Linux and important for the whole usage of Linux as an operating system to have a real word processing suite. And here's a real word processing suite.
And it's a whole Office suite,
yes,
right? Not only WordPerfect.
Yes, this is a not quite finished, but very, very nearly finished version. It's not quite out, but this version runs.
All right, so show us WordPerfect for Linux.
Looks familiar, looks a lot
all the
like
same basic stuff. I mean, does it have all the sort of robust functionality that you'd expect?
Yes, it's full WordPerfect 8. It just happens to be running on top of Unix.
Yeah, and I mean, runs as well, or maybe better than if you were running on Windows, you're saying?
I believe so.
What about, say, the cost of buying the Corel suite as opposed to buying Microsoft Office?
It lists for less and should cost you less. It itself is not open. You can't go in and rewrite it.
Got it.
It runs on top of an open operating system.
All right. All right. What other apps are there? We can do the whole Office bit. I mean, can I browse the web on Linux?
Yes, sir. Here's the Netscape browser.
All right, so there's a version of Netscape up there. Now, the other fear people have, I've got Windows, you know, that sort of sneakily ties up your whole machine. I mean, is it going to be a disaster to my computer if I also install Linux?
No. No, you can use a part of your hard drive, use a
do
second
it.
hard drive, and you can go in and play with it. The safest way would be to get a second hard drive, install Linux on it, and don't run anything else on it, and Windows wouldn't even know about it.
All right, so sort of keep them apart if you can, but you could put it on the same hard drive?
And most people do.
Yeah.
Some people have 3, 4 operating systems on the same drive.
Other thing people worry about is the installation process. Very complicated. You have to be a geek, et cetera. Has that been improved?
Much improved. This system can go from soup to nuts in as little as 20 minutes.
Yeah.
A lot of it depends on whether your hardware is supported, but an increasing amount of it is.
Got it. Last point we ought to make, Alex, is many people don't know, but they're running Linux all the time, right? Because a lot of the internet world, a lot of the server world is in fact using Linux.
A lot of the smaller ISPs don't use anything but.
Yeah.
They have a Linux box. They may reboot once every couple of months in order to improve the software. Otherwise, it just sits in a corner or in a closet somewhere and just runs for months.
Fascinating. Thanks a lot, Alex.
Thank you.
Okay. Well, one of the most exciting futuristic technologies at Comdex was something called Bluetooth. It's not quite a product, but a protocol, a standard for allowing a variety of electronic devices to communicate wirelessly. It's the result of a collaboration between Intel, IBM, Toshiba, Ericsson, and Nokia. And here to explain it all to us is Simon Ellis of Intel. Hello. Again, this is a concept, not a product, so explain exactly what Bluetooth is.
Bluetooth is wireless connectivity between all of your mobile devices and a mechanism to get to the internet.
All right, let's talk about the technology for a second, because it's quite amazing. This tiny little thing, which I want to show our viewers, this is it basically, right? What is in this little chip?
In the module is the entire radio, which is the transmitter and the receiver and the interface to the device.
So the entire communications package, transmitter, receiver, has all been squeezed down into this tiny little chip. In fact, we have another version here, which I can open up so we can show our audience a little bit more of what's inside there. This is quite an achievement, I take it, to figure this out.
Right. The key of the technology is to have an architecture that can be implemented, and ultimately you'll be able to implement in a single piece of silicon.
Right. And inexpensively.
Yes.
Which if everybody's going to use this thing.
High volume and the silicon will yield low cost.
Now this little one, this green thing is the antenna, I assume. I mean, where's the antenna actually sit, say, in your notebook?
In a given device, it will be different. For an example, in the notebook, you'd put the antenna in the screen or maybe in the hinge of the notebook.
All right, and the phones cover it, and other devices could have that little thing in it there. Let's talk about the hardware setup we have here. We have a rather simple demonstration of Bluetooth. You have your notebook computer.
Right.
You have a cell phone. I have a cell phone. Now what's going to happen here? How does this communications work?
Well, first of all, we're going to show the way Bluetooth will be used to utilize your phone to send a message to anyone else. This is a paging message that we'd send to someone else on the network.
Well, let's do something simple to begin with. I mean, you can get these two guys to talk to each other. They happen to be next to each other, but they could be around the world, right?
Yeah, well, first of all, my phone could be in my briefcase in my pocket, and then you would have a phone.
Got it. But I mean, the point is this notebook computer could be in another continent, right? Your phone could be in another place, yes?
No, the two devices, your mobile devices will
These
be
two
together.
have to be together.
And you would have the mobile equipment you carry around with you, like a phone, like a handheld computer, and your PC. And you'd use them at different times. When you're standing up, you'd use your phone. When you're sitting down.
All right, so one step at a time. Show communication now wirelessly between your phone and your notebook.
First of all, what I'm going to launch here is an application that is going to interrogate the telephone and give you essentially remote control of your phone. So while I'm sitting down, I've got the keyboard, I've got the screen, and I can see what's happening. And the first thing you want to do is to synchronize the phone numbers that you have on your phone.
So you have a bunch of phone
computer.
numbers, obviously, in your dial list here in the Nokia, and you are now sending them to your laptop?
Actually, what we're doing is we're reading the numbers that were in the phone onto the computer. So now I can see the numbers, I can do edits, I can add more numbers if I choose.
Got it.
Now, the next thing is to show creating a message. It's very hard to type a message using the numbers on the screen.
Yeah.
So while I'm sitting down, I'm waiting for an airplane perhaps, I can now use my computer with the screen, using the advantages that computers have, for example, being able to cut and paste a message from something.
All right, so this is sort of a little email message. Okay, I've got my phone over here now. Now, I could be the other side of the world, right?
Right.
So you're sitting in an airport in London, let's say, and you've got your notebook and your Nokia and your little Bluetooth chips in there, and you want to send me an email message here in California.
Right. So what I would do is I construct the message, I hit the send button, and then you would, you receive the message on your phone, which you could then read and reply to.
Got it. All right, and did you send it to me?
Yes, it takes what's happening as a message.
Okay, there it goes. All right, so again, to make sure, yeah, I got it. Let me just take a look here. Bluetooth message, and there it is. Simon Ellis, Intel Corporation, reporting. All right. Now, what happened here then, though, I mean, this did go up to some cell phone network up in cyberspace somewhere and come back around.
Right.
Now, this is all very nice. I mean, it's cool to get your phone and your notebook computer to talk together and to be able to send messages like that. I would think the real value is getting this little chip in everything.
Right. The goal of the program is to have a common way for all devices to connect to each other. So, for example, in your car, if you wanted to put your, if you had a Bluetooth connection, then you could use the hands-free system.
So I might have a Bluetooth chip in my car. I might have it in my PDA, I assume, in my digital camera.
In a printer.
My printer.
Consumer
so
appliances.
the theory is there's this like ideal geek world coming down the line in which all objects can talk to each other wirelessly around the world.
Yes.
Called Bluetooth.
Right.
Thank you. All right, that's our look at the best of fall Comdex. I'll be back in just a moment with some closing thoughts. Instead of doing my usual pick of the week in this time slot, I wanted to spend a few moments responding to several emails I've received from viewers who are unhappy that I seem to frequently interrupt the guests on the show and don't let them keep talking. That's a fair observation, and so I'd like to explain why that happens. First of all, on this show, we try to give you a broad look at what we think are the leading technologies in a particular area. That usually means showing you at least 4 different examples of new products or technologies. That means we have a little more than 5 minutes to spend with each guest and each demo. We figure it's better for you to see a little bit of several new technologies rather than for us to spend more time on just 1 or 2 examples. If you want more detail, of course, you can always go to a website. Now, our guests are usually not familiar with these kinds of time restraints. They're often involved in doing demos for analysts or investors or at trade shows where they have 20 or 30 minutes to explain their product, not 5 minutes. And of course, when our guests are from a particular vendor, they would ideally like to have more time than their competitors who will follow them on the show. So they're used to taking lots of time, and they're motivated to take lots of time. But I'm here to represent you, not them. I want you to get a fair and equal look at all the different technologies we've selected for you to see. That means I have to be the enforcer and make sure our guests stick to their allotted time. Also, I've spent a lot of time prepping for the final demo and discussion that you see. I know what's in the product, I know what's new about the product, and I want to make sure we get that all in before time is up. That sometimes means moving things along and forcing our guests to follow the time schedule. And yes, that sometimes means interrupting them. But in my judgment, what they were going to say when I interrupted them is not as interesting or important as what I know they will say or show us if I nudge them along. Fortunately, we also get lots of emails thanking us for keeping the show moving at a good pace, squeezing in lots of information in a short period of time, and not letting our guests ramble on and do product pitches. In the end, I'm looking for the same stuff you're looking for. Cool new technologies, solutions to computing and internet problems. The only difference between us is I know it's about to happen. Unfortunately, you don't, so you kind of have to trust me on this one. That's it for this edition of Computer Chronicles. If you need any more information, please check out our website at cmptv.com. While you're there, click on the link to my weekly radio show. That's an hour long, so I don't have to interrupt the guests. Thanks for joining us. Hope we'll see you here next time.
To purchase a videotape copy of today's program, call toll-free 1-888-310-7850. Please specify the show number and the topic.
The Computer Chronicles is brought to you by BigStar.com, with thousands of videos and DVDs for the whole family. Additional support by TechWeb for up-to-the-minute technology news. And by TVA, Television Associates, bridging the worlds of computers and video with DVD authoring and MPEG encoding services.
Next week on the Computer Chronicles, the Y2K problem. We'll show you how to check your computer's CMOS and BIOS for possible year 2000 glitches. We'll look at some software that examines your applications and files to make sure they're Y2K compliant. We'll talk to Microsoft about some reported Y2K problems with Windows, and we'll search the web for good and bad information about what you should do to deal with Y2K. Plus, we'll look at the mainframe side of the problem. Can you count on power, water, money, and safe air travel on January 1? It's all coming up next week on the Computer Chronicles.